Hello, Brickman here to count down the top 5 times LEGO video games were rushed and released a little too early. By this, I mainly mean times a LEGO video game's quality or coverage was damaged by LEGO and TT Games choosing to release a game sooner than they should have. Starting at number 5, there's one of the least extreme examples of this case, LEGO Incredibles. By the time Incredibles 2 hit theaters, it was practically a given that Incredibles 3 would be made eventually to officially close off the Incredibles series. However, LEGO had just gotten the license to the Incredibles for a very small line of sets and immediately cashed in on the idea of an Incredibles game covering Incredibles 1 and 2. Now, once Incredibles 3 comes out and works as possibly just as big as a hit as Incredibles 2, there won't be anything for LEGO and TT Games to offer because it is extremely unlikely they'd make a game exclusively covering the third film, nor are the first 2 films iconic enough to be made twice in LEGO video game form. If LEGO really wanted to cover a completed popular Disney Pixar series in a game, all they had to do was wait 1 year later for Toy Story 4 to come out and they'd be plenty set for a much more packed game. Cause let's be honest, LEGO Incredibles was very lacking on content, especially when compared to other LEGO games marked at the same retail price. At number 4, we're still not getting too extreme, but there's LEGO Star Wars 3: The Clone Wars. In this case, TT Games seized their first opportunity to make another LEGO Star Wars game following the success of the complete saga. But all they let themselves work with was the first 2 seasons of the Clone Wars TV show. Certainly 2 seasons did offer a decent amount of content, but had they waited just a little longer for more Clone Wars content to be available, the game could have been a lot better. That's especially because we all knew they wouldn't keep on making a LEGO Star Wars 4 and 5 for every 2 seasons of the show, so now we're left with only seasons 1 and 2 covered in LEGO video game form. Also, arguably, those are some of the weaker seasons of the show, so again, had TT Games waited just a bit longer, they'd have access to a lot more quality content to pick and choose coverage for that would have made the game a lot more enjoyable than what it landed as being. Next up, number 3, a similar scenario, LEGO Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Yes, this is another time LEGO wanted a Star Wars game to be made as soon as popular content was available. A clear issue here is that everyone knew The Force Awakens was just the first movie of what was going to be made into a full Star Wars trilogy. And by the time this game came out, which was 2016, we were only 1 year away from The Last Jedi's release. LEGO and TT Games really went all out on covering only one movie in a full video game, which was confusing for a lot of people. But they did try very hard to still make up for the lack of content with tons of bonus levels and a character roster that got as obscure as possible. This was certainly an odd choice, and now the same movie, The Force Awakens, is going to be covered again in the upcoming LEGO Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga, and it's not going to feel very different due to the small amount of time that's passed. Alright, coming in at number 2 is the very first console LEGO video game ever, LEGO Star Wars: The Video Game. The reason I put this so high is because in this case, they just had to wait the smallest amount of time for the biggest difference in quality. So this game covers episodes 1 through 3, the full Star Wars prequel trilogy, but TT Games chose to release it 1 month before the actual release of Revenge of the Sith. Had they waited at least a month more or even slightly longer, this game would have a lot more freedom than it did. Instead, now the coverage for Revenge of the Sith probably didn't make sense to most people who hadn't seen the movie, and basically it included spoilers for everyone, but LEGO didn't even have access to knowing every detail of the completed movie, and that's why there's zero representation of scenes like Palpatine's arrest, Palpatine versus Yoda, and Order 66 Beyond Kashyyyk. On top of this, the score for Revenge of the Sith wasn't even released yet, so TT Games just had to reuse the tracks from episode 1 and 2 and fit that into episode 3. This certainly sucks for all fans of Revenge of the Sith, but at least LEGO Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga will be able to properly cover the film. Alright, now that's enough LEGO Star Wars. Finally, at number 1 is LEGO The Hobbit. This, I believe, is the most significant example of LEGO and TT Games rushing the release of the game. What happened here is there was the Hobbit trilogy actively being released in theaters, and a LEGO theme following it, as well as the release of LEGO The Lord of the Rings only a few years prior, and now for whatever reason TT Games lost their patience and decided to make a game covering the first 2 Hobbit films and released that as soon as they could. The saddest fact is that this game came out in the same year, 2014, as the release of the Battle of Five Armies, Armies, which would be the final Hobbit film. Because this game certainly felt incomplete to most fans of the Hobbit trilogy, TT Games did say that there would be a DLC pack to cover the Battle of Five Armies eventually added onto the game. However, after months and soon years, that DLC pack never met the light of day, and now we're forever left with LEGO The Hobbit only covering the first two movies of a trilogy. Now, certainly it's a trend for most merchandising brands, such as LEGO themselves, to make products on movies way before the movie they're based on releases. Look at any LEGO licensed theme lines, for example. They're often scattered with inaccuracies because LEGO couldn't work with all of the details they needed, but some of the inclusions in this list just don't make sense. But please, I'd love to hear what you all thought of this list and LEGO video game release date schedules down in the comments below. That all being said, thank you very much for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for plenty more content coming real soon. Bye-bye.